Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is Sparta!
All your days are belong to us.
It's a trap 9000!
That's Galacticus. Leave Benny alone!
Leroy Jenkins!
Objection!
The balls are inert.
Limousine sedan.
And now it begins. Hello, everybody. This is Brin here from Nerd to Know Basis, and I am joined, as always, by Darragh.
Yo, what's up?
We also have the full team here because Cian is here as well. What's up, everybody?
Excellent.
Yeah, this is cool. This is like a good this first three-man team.
Yeah, it's the quintessential three-man booth. Right, so this has been a pretty nutty week for some geeky ass news, some nerdy ass news. Mm-hmm. Where do you guys want to start? What's your top story for the week?
I'll jump in real quick. So I just saw the new Cian and Silent Bob trailer has dropped. And it looks awesome. I can't wait to see it. It's everything you expect it to be, but also everything you don't think it's going to be. Random cameo from Chris Hemsworth is in it, which is strange. Although,
is it really that strange though? Because is Kevin Smith's whole thing that he gets weird people in for cameos in his movies? Isn't that sort of his style?
Yeah, but it's just you think of him, like time locked in the 90s,
Yeah, I suppose.
That's surprising if it was like Michael Keaton or Pauly Shore.
I don't know, man. Michael Keaton, that would be a good grab. Maybe he might be in it.
Michael Keaton is a great grab for any film. Let's just be honest here.
Well, it seems like a lot of this movie is taking place in and around Comic-Con. I'm intrigued to see what this turns out like because it is completely different. It seems to be it has a budget this time around, which is nice. And it's a direct sequel to Cian and Silent Bob Strike Back. Yeah. So it's pretty much picking up 20 years after that movie. So
yeah, I have my issues with Kevin Smith films in the last since the turn of the century, pretty much. So
yeah, fair.
I'm gonna hold silent as silent as possible, cautious.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I do think it's funny. It's like he did a Nostalgia Critic Channel Awesome on it. He said, "No, it's done," and then everything else failed except for his podcasting and weed addiction. And he came back, and he's like, "Oh, we're back, guys." It's like, oh, all right, fair enough.
Well, it's actually, to be fair, you brought up the point that it's centered around Comic-Con. Since Cian and Silent Bob, there's been a huge shift in nerd culture. It's kind of nerd culture, the Star Wars, the Comic-Con, the culture, all that kind of stuff is kind of mainstream now. So there is a lot of potential good avenues to go in. I suppose the question is that what they'll do, or will they just kind of play it a bit safe?
Well, I don't know. Judging from the trailer, they're kind of doing both. It really, they're playing it safe, but then also it's a Cian and Silent Bob movie, so there's only so safe you can play it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Cautiously optimistic. That's my stance on it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking, why weren't you a Kevin Smith fan?
Why aren't I a Kevin Smith fan?
Yeah. You seemed a bit hesistant when we were talking about it a minute ago.
Okay, so for me, Kevin Smith hasn't made a good film since Dogma.
Ooh, controversial.
Sorry, I haven't liked anything he's made in this century. I haven't liked.
Dude, Clerks 2 is great.
Clerks 2 is great, except that it's pretty poor next to Clerks 1. So, it would be pretty great if Clerks 1 didn't already exist.
Yeah, but, I would say after he stopped doing the View Askew stuff, that's when the movies did.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are gradients to it. If someone likes Clerks 2, I'm not going to go, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" I mean, the film has merits, but I'm just
You just disagree with the merits.
But it's not that I disagree with the merits. It's like, it's just never going to be a film that I want to watch from his. Like, it's a film in his, it's like, I'm trying to think of like another way to say this, but like,
I get what you mean. You won't come home from work, like, what I'm really in the mood for is some Clerks 2. Let's grab a pizza,
It's like someone going, what Metallica album do you want to listen to? I don't think of Reload. Like,
yeah, that's true. Actually, that's true.
I just don't like. I mean, it has good qualities and stuff, but like,
Fair.
It's like going, oh boy, Home Alone 3. Like, okay.
Now here's for Home Alone 4 or 5. That's when it gets pretty bad, man. Well,
yeah, but I didn't watch them.
You should. You need to punish yourself and be like, hey, I'm gonna watch some garbage tonight. So.
If I'm gonna hurt myself with bad films, I will do much worse than Home Alone 4.
Fair.
They were going to do like a Home Alone TV series? Like that Home Alone 4 was supposed to be like a pilot episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a bad idea that is.
No, exactly. How do you even do that? Do this have them break into the house every week?
The villain of the week is different people.
The villain, it's like a Monster of the Week story.
Oh no, we left him again.
Oh. Or would it just be like,
how does this keep happening?
Really, just like a really long novella story where it just takes it basically goes through like an Ocean's 11 style heist preparation, and it just keeps building and building, and then they just colossally fail at the end because of the kid.
Oh no, we've left Kevin McAllister in the bank vault.
Oh no, how did this happen?
Every week it seems like it.
Oh no, we left Kevin alone on a plane with terrorists this week.
He's in a nuclear reactor heading to the sun.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, like I think that like that's the. I mean, I'm not saying like Kevin Smith doesn't have the ability to make.
We were talking about Kevin Smith, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. Like we, I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability to make good films. I'm just saying I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, like I think, I mean, like the trailer does look interesting, so hopefully it works out. But
it looks passionate. Certainly, it doesn't look like they're playing it safe or playing it lazy. Certainly. Yeah.
A lack of passion has never been Kevin Smith's problem.
That's very true. Yes.
But my fear with it is the fear I have with almost every comedy, which is going, I sure hope there are more funny bits than
I got
you. But
you had Tusk, and Tusk was not good.
No.
And then you had that other movie that he did with his daughter and Johnny Depp's.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like, I'm sitting there going, "Are you for real? This is the best you can do."
Basically. But it's kind of like, with this, I am about as excited for it as I am for the new Bill and Ted film.
Oh, another controversial. Brin, you're just being, you're just being a negative Nelly.
Here's the thing, though, about Bill and Ted. The second one has, like, one of the most perfect endings in cinema history, as far as I'm concerned. And from what I'm seeing of this, I'm going, like, surely they would have saved the world by now. What happened to God gave rock and roll to you, and what's taking him so goddamn long to deliver it? Like,
hold on, but see, the thing about it is, it's like they left it open-ended, where like that they saved it, but you don't know at what point did they save it.
Yeah, it's just I would have expected it to be pretty soon.
This is Bill and Ted, though. They get distracted.
Yeah,
and you have a time machine, so they could go back, and it could be whole stopped up and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, when you open up the time machine box, a lot falls out.
I hope that they open with like some deleted scene from Bill and Ted 2, and then in the narrative of the movie, they suddenly age jump 20 years, and they just roll with it.
Oh, kind of like
something like that.
Kind of like in Endgame when
like in Endgame, like just go crazy,
time into Ant-Man.
Yes, exactly. Just make it a feature.
Yeah, I could see that. That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, Hollywood de-aging is a thing now, isn't it? Like, I'm sure, like, Like, I'm sure Keanu Reeves wouldn't come back unless there was a good reason to. Like,
Also, they don't even have to do the anti-aging thing with Keanu, so that's also a handy thing.
They just have to shave his beard.
Yeah, and then just let it grow back again.
Well, look,
Take them all about 10 minutes. It's Keanu.
Well, look. The thing about it is, right? I don't think. There's more of merit for this for loads of reasons. One, Keanu Reeves is it's the year of Keanu, but also, Alex Winter needs money. So, this movie could be called Alex Winter Needs Money. So, that's that. I don't have a problem with it. I'm looking forward to it. But listen, speaking of the whole time jump thing, right? Details have emerged about the Star Wars sequel, right?
Yeah.
It looks like time travel is going to be a thing.
Oh, damn.
Okay, like where are you getting the information from? What's indicating this?
It's what I've heard from quite reliable sites. It seems like there were some leaks there last week, and it looks like from everything that there's going to be some time travel involved.
Okay, so they're not going to go with our clearly better way of the next film opening up.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's a much better way to do it.
For people who didn't hear it, basically what would happen is that it would open up, and you would just see Mara Jade pull back a bed and look around in an empty room and get all startled and go over to a shower, open up the shower door, and there's Luke. And he's like, "Oh, what's wrong?" She's like, "Oh, I had a horrible dream." And it's basically just Dallas, but with Star Wars.
And she's just recapping the plots of the past couple of movies, and then she's like, and then throw it in, she's like, "I even had another dream where they replaced where Kyle-Katarn didn't get the Death Star plans, and I was horribly confused." And then Kyle-Katarn walks in, he's like, "Hey, everybody," and there you go. And it's like, it's fixed. I think it's a much better way of doing it. Yeah, it looks like
giant porgs everywhere. Just they all live in one big house.
They've got their own Netflix show.
Yes,
living with the porgs.
But there'd be one porg in Luke Skywalker's beard.
Yeah.
But see, I don't even see if they did that. It wouldn't even be homeless Luke. It would be like regal Luke.
Yeah, regal, well kept Luke.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be the homeless man who drinks from a blue tit. Like we saw. But here's the thing, right? So, assuming that they go with the time travel thing, and I think the main reason why is because it works so well in Endgame. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, look, we were able to make that nonsense stick, so we'll try it here." It really does smack of desperation where they're like, "Okay, guys."
It does, but there's a hidden benefit. If they do time travel, they can sneak the Old Republic in there, and then that's free publicity.
You see, that's the thing, right? Apparently the link is because the main cast aren't involved in anything else. So, at the end of this, no more Finn, no more Rey, no more other lad who name I can't remember. Poe.
Kylo.
Yeah. And Kylo, right? Apparently there's going to be, so that's what they're probably going to do. They're going to set up the Old Republic at the end of it. So this could be wild speculation, but I think it's more aligned to what they're going to do rather. Because here's the thing, think about it. The resistance is dead. There's 20 people. What are they going to do?
Also, the First Order is a bit wonky.
Exactly. I think hitting the reset button here is the only real option. And also another thing as well, the Star Wars land, Galaxy's Edge, there's nobody there.
Yeah, really?
Nobody's going to it. It's crazy. I was watching a couple of videos, and Doomcock has one at the moment as well. A video up on YouTube, and he's like, "Yeah, here, look at this," and pretty much there's nobody there.
Interesting. And you say, and hitting the reset button has one thing, which is that if they end, say, the timeline somewhere before Return of a Jedi, they can earn back some goodwill and say those throne books still happen, and we're just not going to do any movies in the future in this part of the timeline, all that malarkey. There's a lot they can do with it. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but they can do it.
Yeah, I think, the franchise is very close to being dead. If this movie fails, I don't think there will be I think that's it. You know, that,
stick to Disney Plus.
I think it does. I think if it does fail, it should be it though. At the same time, like as a lifelong Star Wars fan, between the discomfort of 3 bad Lucasfilms and the just unmistakable blandness that Disney have brought to it, I don't really want more Star Wars anymore.
But here's the thing, though, right? Even after, and I take offense to the bad Lucasfilms, which Revenge of the Sith is fantastic, except for the dialogue's pretty bad. But other than that, we'll let that go. But here's the thing.
Just ignore the writing and
I want to get into the prequel stuff.
Sorry, what was that, Keane?
I'm not letting that go. I want to get into the weeds on this prequel stuff.
Exactly, Bryn. You're not walking away with that. But here's the thing. The difference between the prequels, right, and the Disney movies. The prequels, even though they weren't great, they gave license for the expanded universe to grow beyond anything it ever was.
100% true.
We got KOTOR out of it. We got the best 10 years of Star Wars games in a row. Fantastic books, fantastic lore, great comics, all this kind of stuff.
We also got the best lightsaber fight ever.
Yes, true. Purely because Lucas was like, here's the world, go play. And here, like, we're getting rid of all of that and we're going to just replace it with nothing. And it's just like, oh, okay, this was a bad idea. And here's the thing, even as a Star Wars fan, I always thought the worst thing about the Star Wars books, with the exception of the Tron trilogy and I, Jedi, is that anything after Return of the Jedi just always felt flat, like completely flat. But the more you went back, the better it was, because you didn't have, it was the same world, but you could kind of have a bit more movement. Lucas understood that. The game designers understood that. Disney doesn't get that. I don't think Disney actually fundamentally understands what Star Wars is.
But it's also like one of the major criticisms in the prequels was going, Hayden Christensen is just a really bland actor, and there's no way that something could be more bland than him. And Disney went, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you go on, please.
No, it's just before you jump in. I think, and again, guys, we're not beating down Rey for being a Mary Sue or anything like that. It's just she doesn't have a character. She just doesn't.
Finn hasn't had character growth since the first 10 minutes of the first film.
That's true.
So,
can you jump back in there?
No. I was actually going to step into Hayden Christensen's corner. I think he does the best he can with the dialogue.
Oh, 100%.
I have some acting qualifications, and I could do nothing with "I am haunted by the kiss you gave me" or whatever the line is.
I hate sand.
Oh yeah, it's coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere. I think part of the dislike for the Disney characters is they're charming, but especially in The Last Jedi, it feels a little forced. It's a bit like budget Guardians of the Galaxy type thing.
Exactly.
And that does translate.
Disney kind of are like, oh, let's do, and actually this could work out well in a way that they didn't think. They're like, oh, Marvel works, let's copy the Marvel formula. Now, the only reason why I'm saying that could work now is because Endgame was a massive success. They're like, oh, let's just reboot this and do time travel to fix all the things. And it's like, okay. Here's the thing, though. They did actually set up time travel already in the Star Wars universe. In Star Wars, what's the show called? Rebels.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Rebels is at least a good thing that came out of the sort of Disney era.
I like Rebels.
That is very true. Yeah, Rebels is great. It's kind of like, when you compare watching the live action DC films.
Yeah.
You're like, why can't the live action ones be at least as good as the shorter and better animated films?
Because look who's running it. The guy who ran Clone Wars. That's who should, Dave Filoni. That's who should be running the Star Wars arm of Disney. True. No one else, because everyone else just doesn't understand what it is. Dave Filoni's like, hey guys, I'm going to make awesome content because nobody really cares about this. Here's more Clone Wars, which we're going to see more of during San Diego Comic-Con.
It's kind of like it flies under the radar just enough.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a good point in and of itself, though. I was watching Red Letter Media's predictions for what Star Wars 9 will be. It lines up with a lot of your theories. But they made the point that back in Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader just says, "I see you made a new lightsaber," and you kind of go, "Okay, whatever." And then in the prequels, they go, "Oh, we have to have a thing where we explain the lightsabers. We have to have a thing where we explain this. We have to have a thing where we explain that." And it gets lore heavy. The cartoons are just fun. There's a bit of lore in there, but it's secondary to the adventures that are going on.
Explore lore in kind of like in a detail where it can be fine, but it can also just be fully exploratory because you can devote 20 minutes to go, well, here's a bit of lore in an interesting and dynamic story.
But see, guys, the thing on that, right? The reason why the lore doesn't work in the Star Wars films that we're given now is because there's nowhere for the lore to go, right?
Okay.
And the reason why is it's like, okay, if you're bound to telling the story of the Skywalkers, right? There's certain beats you have to hit there, and there's only so much room you can grow. There's only so many places you can grow, particularly that when the Skywalkers are at the end of their life, right? If you go back or you go somewhere else, like here's the thing: if Disney we'll see this with Mandalore. The Mandalorian, right? That's going to be amazing because it's not tied to anything. Apparently, there's no Jedi in it. It's just a story about the Mandalorian, right? And it's probably going to go to Mandalore and explain all this other stuff and be very lore heavy. You just have to point it in the right direction. And right now, Disney are like, "Oh my God, what works? What works? Oh no, we don't know." And then they're like, "We give up." And
I think they've hit such a difficult. They've hit like really uneven notes with things because like it seemed like the proportion of people who disliked episode 7 is about equal to the people who disliked episode 8.
See,
and people kind of flipped.
Yeah, see, it's weird, right? Because I hated episode 7, right? But I really liked episode 8 because it because it was different and it wasn't the same movie again. But the difference is, right? And here's
it also actively broke a lot of the problems that came through from 7.
Yeah.
Correct, exactly. The only problem is it should have been the third movie because it left them nowhere to go. You know, it ended.
I disagree with that because I think it's I think that like where episode 9 can go is a lot more like I prefer it being like I have no idea where this is going rather than finishing episode 8 going I know exactly where this is going.
Fair.
Well, you both have good points because it's nice that like episode 8 ended with this complete blank slate. You can either build the resistance up or knock it down and keep it 20. You can do this, you can do that. It's a complete blank slate to tell a story. The problem is, do they have the sort of nerve and the imagination to do something with a blank slate? And that's where we're getting time travel rumors.
No, and here's the thing though, right? Again, like I remember when there was the rumors that time travel was going to be involved in the Infinity War saga and people were like, "No, that's stupid." It wasn't. You know,
but as well as that, they also, I think people underestimated what they were going to do with the time travel stuff because they tried to make it not a massive cop out.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, was really impressive for what that film was trying to achieve. I think with Star Wars, it just looks a lot more desperate because it doesn't have 10 years of goodwill.
Yeah,
and that's a big.
Well, we've seen this now. Look, if you had said to me, even as a 17-year-old, "Hey, it's going to be a Star Wars land that you can go to and just hang out," I would have been like, "Holy shit, no!" You know, and my head exploded. Sorry for cursing, guys. But
we'll bleep that out.
We'll bleep that out. Yeah. I was just like, wow, it's crazy, you know, because I remember at that point I was just inhaling Star Wars books to beat the band. Like, this was the period when we didn't really get anything mainstream outside of the games.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as bad as the 90s, which there was nothing before the prequels, you know. But now you're going to, and one of the reasons why apparently people are saying is because like Batu, which is the planet that apparently it's Star Wars supposed to be, is like it doesn't feel like anything because like no one really knows where Batu is. It's like it's never been set up. It's not on any of the Star Wars encyclopedias that I have. It's just like it's completely made up. So it's kind of like you're it's not like the Harry Potter land where you're, you know, in Harry Potter. And I hate Harry Potter. I'm not a fan of it, but
And you were calling him controversial earlier.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not a fan of it. I appreciate anyone who is, but a lot of my friends are as well. But
I hear a lot of radios and laptops turning off across Ireland.
No, guys, just
they shan't be turned back on again in our time.
Just hear me out, guys. I'll tell you what. At me if you want to talk about it. Right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. We'll change the name of our panel to "Why I Hate." Why Darragh hates Harry Potter. Actually,
cross-examination.
That's not a bad idea, actually. We'll do that next year.
That sounds like a really unpleasant time for everyone.
All the wizards turning up en masse.
It's like, what? Anyway. No, but the thing about it is, when you go to the Harry Potter land, you're able to go to Hogwarts, you're able to, have the butterbeer, you're able to go to that one place. You're able to go all to those things, and you feel like you're in Harry Potter, but you're actually in Orlando in 50-degree heat or something like that, right? Walking around in wizard outfits. In Batu, you're not even allowed dressed like a stormtrooper or dressed like in Darth Vader. That's all banned, right? So it's just like...
But surely that'd be half the fun. 3/4 of the fun.
Exactly, yeah, but apparently that's all verboten. You're not allowed to do it. So it's just like, okay, Disney... Do you know nerds? Do you understand what you have?
But it's even do you understand fun?
Yeah, exactly, man. And that's kind of what I've heard. So until Disney kind of understand what they have, they're going to keep making these mistakes. I think, sadly, Star Wars, is like a case of a tale of two cities. You have the marvelous success, pun intended, of Marvel, unrivaled, that's kickstarted the whole modern way we look at movies. And then you have Star Wars, which is like, oh, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, the difference, though, is Marvel has 50, 60 years of content to select and adapt, and all these passionate people who care about all the characters. You brought up the point earlier. The future of Star Wars beyond Episode 6 is kind of like the Wild West.
Yeah.
There's material, but there's not as much of it, and adapting it won't draw people in.
No.
So,
here's the thing. The end of Star Wars is the Empire wins. And that's the thing that nobody realizes. It's like the end of this story, the Empire... Now, to be fair, it's not really the Empire. It's like a Jedi Empire kind of thing.
Yeah.
The story's pretty badass. But, to be fair, it's like no one's going to want to see that except me and maybe two other people. Yeah. It's just like,
Just the people who are like, what was great? Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
it would be great if all of them were Jedis.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and those two other people will go see it 6 times and that'll be it. But, that's basically the end of that, But what I'm saying is, the future of Star Wars, ironically, is in the past.
Yeah. Oh no, completely. I like most of the Disney movies that have come out, but they are, apart from, weirdly enough, Solo, very reliant on the nostalgia, and that only kind of gets you so far.
Yeah, to be fair, I like Solo. Completely unnecessary, but in its unnecessariness, shall we say, they actually did stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, you've done something.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Funnily enough, I would go to a Han Solo land before Batu, because I get to hang out in the cantina, be a smuggler.
Yeah,
it's that kind of, all right, fair enough.
Go to Tatooine and go to the cantina and have a good time, and then you can meet Jabba, and Disney, give us checks, we'll do it for you. It's like, but that's the thing, it's kind of ridiculous. And then they brought out the Sith Troopers this week, and you're like, ooh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I love Stormtrooper armor and helmets and stuff. I think it's rad. The 501st in Ireland always look great. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have at Comic-Con in Dublin. But this is like, are you trying to hint that you're going back to the Sith Trooper era with the red armor? Because that might be an indication. I hope so, because that'd be cool.
You do have the slightly, to be fair to the films, you do have that slight meta quality where the characters, especially Kylo Ren, are all fans of the past. And so it's okay when they bring it in a little bit, but you also, that's a basis to make something. It can't be the thing.
Okay, so you're listening to the podcast and you're wondering, well, what if I want to listen live and I'm not in Ireland? Well, don't worry. Go over to www.nerdtoknowmedia.com. On the webpage at the bottom, there is a link to the Phoenix FM stream. Check out the details of the show you want to listen to and you'll be able to catch us live. Don't forget to tweet in nerd2, the number 2, no 92.5, or of course you can contact us via the contact tab on the website over on nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
Exactly. You can't be like, oh, hey, wasn't that great? And then that's your movie. You know, it has to be like, you know, it's kind of, what's it? It's like, it's the problem with the Big Bang Theory. You know, they use nerd culture to make a joke, but there is no joke.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of like, oh, hey, here is a comic book. Isn't that funny, you guys? And you're like,
he knows how to use a computer.
Exactly.
Hilarious.
But there's no kind of punch in there. It's just like, oh, nerds are funny, right?
What are
Aren't
they like?
Wacky?
Exactly.
Those scamps.
And that's kind of what the Star Wars, that's what Disney Star Wars feels like. It's like, hey, look, you remember lightsabers, you know, you remember this, you know, the nerd crew on Red Letter Media's nerd crew kind of sum up, you know, it's like, it broke new ground. I remembered that. You know, I appreciate that they had something that I remember.
Yeah.
It's the South Park member berries.
Exactly. You know, and it's you know, until Disney Star Wars break away from that. And if they don't, like, mark my words, if they don't do that, it's done. Like, it's just finished, you know. And here's the thing, like, George Lucas must be like, oh man, I got the best deal ever. I got, like, you know, all this money, and it was a dead franchise because you didn't know what you were doing. And you could do it with anything. Here's the thing, like, the Marvel movies, if Kevin Feige wasn't running Marvel the way he was running it, those movies could have sucked.
Yep. Well, if you had like imagine for a moment if the people who were running the Netflix Marvel series were running the MCU, imagine how underwhelming a lot of it would have turned out.
Well, here's the thing. Imagine the people running Star Wars. Disney were running Marvel.
Yeah.
Like,
imagine the people who ran the DC films.
Oh.
Was someone running those? I mean,
Poorly.
you could have fooled me.
Yeah.
To be fair, you know, Snack Cider, he did what he could do, and you know, it is what it is.
He tried his best. It wasn't good.
He's not a good storyteller, but damn, he does shoot movies really well. Yeah. So it's just kind of like.
But then why give him the job of being the person who decides what happens in the story?
I don't know. Yeah, I think everybody just had an off day and they're like, oh, who's around? Yeah. Oh, that guy. Okay, go for it. You know.
I don't even think it was a matter of an off day. I think it was a matter of like the Avengers is out. Quick, we're falling behind. Who we literally got in the room? Oh,
what's Goyer doing? Get him to shit out another screenplay.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
quick, Goyer, write 6 movies. Go. Yeah. You know,
I have a script I want you to do. We don't care about your original stories, Goyer. Get us more crap.
Yeah.
More Batman.
Yeah, exactly. You know, actually, I'd love to see do a Star Wars movie. Justin Lin. I'd love to. The guy who did Aquaman and Star Trek Beyond. He seems to have a knack for taking, you know, what could be slightly wobbly material and imbuing it with like joy and enthusiasm. I think that's kind of lacking in the Star Wars films.
You know, speaking of James Wan, he actually wrote the story. Well, a bit of the story.
Was it James Wan that directed it?
James Wan, yeah.
I'm sorry, Justin Lin wrote it. My mistake. Sorry.
The guy who did Insidious,
Saw series,
yeah. But he also did. He wrote the story for Annabelle, right? Annabelle Comes Home or whatever. That is not a good movie. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just not a good movie. Like, to be fair, it's like, you know, I appreciate appreciate shows when they have, like, you know, like the Black Mirror episode, The Museum, Black Museum.
Yeah.
It feels like that. It feels like a movie version of that. It's like, oh, look at this haunted item. It's, you know, it's spooky. And it feels like they're setting up, a whole bunch of series based on these items. Which, to be fair, I'll go see them anyway because, I appreciate the Conjuring universe for what it is, even though it's kind of tacky and lame now. But yeah, this movie felt like they had a lot of ideas, no real story though, and kind of just went with it. So James Wan needs to be controlled a little bit with his stories. Good director though. So
yeah, he's always going to be always regarded just because of how he got his start in his career, because Saw was his student film.
Yeah,
and then
the funny thing about the Saw movie is they didn't actually have the set afterwards.
No,
they actually destroyed the set.
Yeah,
and the set that they used in subsequent Saw movies was the set from Scary Movie 4.
Yeah,
that's how good that was. I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
But hey guys, I want to kind of say something a bit controversial now, right?
Already, yeah. as if the Harry Potter thing wasn't bad enough.
In this really tame episode.
I don't listen, guys. At me.
I don't care the color orange.
Look, I'm just saying, right? Harry Potter, not my thing. I'll debate anybody on it. Okay, just saying.
Oh, you will. They'll find you.
Well, look, I tell you what, we're at Comic-Con, 3:00 on Sunday. Come along and tell me how much you like Harry Potter, and I won't listen.
You're gonna get Pacificus Totalis so quickly.
I don't know. I don't know.
Good for them.
So, I'm trying to win some goodwill back from the Harry Potter listeners. Bear with me here.
Guys, listen. Read Lord of the Rings. It's a better book. All right? Just saying. Just saying.
Just let people enjoy things.
I am. I'm just saying, the best thing about the
saying something's better than the thing they like is not letting them enjoy something. You might think it is, but it's not.
I'm trying to be diplomatic here. Okay?
But you're failing.
I know. That's what's funny about it.
I'm trying to be nice here. Anyway, okay. So here's the thing, right? So I want to say something controversial, right?
Okay.
There's another Thor movie been announced, Thor 4, right?
Uh-huh.
And I am very upset that they're going with the director again that they had. I don't like it. I want my Thor back.
You want your really dull.
You don't like the type.
I want Kenneth Branagh to come back because I like Thor being Shakespeare in space.
Yeah, but that was the one film. He didn't do the second one either. That sucked.
The Thor: The Dark World, gets an unfair amount of hate. It's okay.
I would agree with that.
Sucked is a bit strong. It's a bit. It's one of the weakest films in the collection.
It's a bit bland, I'll give you that, but it has some really good bits in it, and it does kind of do a lot of world building for Asgard. And I'm like, cool. Thor 3 is like, oh man, what did you do? You kind of ruined the character a little bit.
I would disagree with that.
But no. Everything that doesn't involve Asgard is great. I really like the fact that they do plan a Hulk. I think that's great. Jeff Goldblum, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I like some of the additions that is in it. Great to see Carl Urban in, a big movie again.
I like the change they did for Korg.
Yeah, Korg is cool.
So they turned him from a fairly generic, dull muscle character into being
really funny.
Yeah.
And to be fair, see, that's great. And Taika Waititi, voicing him is great.
Did you ever hear his inspiration for the character?
No, go on.
It was a Pacific Islander bouncer.
Amazing.
And it's just going all right, we're closing up there. We're a bit full tonight. You'll have to go home. That's all.
But see, I think that's all great. But the fact that they destroy Mjolnir, they kill Odin, they destroy Asgard, and I'm like, man, what are you doing? Stop! I'm like, stop doing that.
It's Ragnarok.
Yeah, but I know
Asgard can't survive Ragnarok.
I know, but
also Odin can't survive Ragnarok.
They didn't give it any gravitas. It was like a big joke, and I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Would you do? Okay, here's a controversial point. Do you think Thor has a better character journey in the Dark World or in Ragnarok?
That's That's not fair because nothing happens. That's not fair. That's not fair. That's a low blow. That's a low blow.
How dare you use logic?
No, hold on a minute.
Because your point is fair that like they do kind of treat the especially the Loki death theater scene. They do treat the other movies with a bit of disrespect, but at the same time, they do have some clever references to the first two Thors. Like they repeat a wise king must be ready for war, but not seek it out. Like they do put in the effort to kind of have some of the Kenneth Branagh stuff in there.
I think if they just did the Thor, the Hulk base centric thing, I think that'd be great. The only thing about it is, right, with Thor 4, because they're kind of moving towards the cosmic thing, this looks like it's going to set up Adam Warlock or Nova. I'm not
both.
Yeah, or both. I'm not as hesitant about it. I'm like, okay, cool. This kind of Thor with him makes more sense with Taika Waititi doing it. So it'll be fun. I'm sure people will love it. But I'm like, I still kind of long for more Shakespeare in space.
I get you. That is fair.
Yeah. I think the best thing you could hope for in that department is if they made some kind of like small shorts and small mini series and stuff.
Yeah, and look, I'm not gonna like cry over or not see the movie because I have to see the movie.
Yeah.
I'll just go see it twice. It's just like,
not once, not thrice, but twice.
And look, to be fair, I didn't hate Ragnarok. I hated it for a while, and then Black Panther came along, and I had a new thing to hate.
But Black Panther came out first.
Would you stop with the controversy, Jesus?
I'm just saying, man. It's just what it is.
This is what he does. You're new here.
You're new.
He likes his contrarian opinions.
Okay.
He just does it for attention, though. It's fine.
Well, okay, that's it. I'm done with all the controversy.
I doubt it.
Okay.
Yeah. He says that every week.
Hold on. Oh, we can't.
Okay.
We can't. James Bond announcement.
Yes.
Oh, God. Who wants to
I'll take it because I'm a huge fan of the James Bond films.
Okay, go for it.
It was announced this week. We've got some news on James Bond 25, which has been, moving at the pace of a snail as far as its production goes. But they announced that Lashana Lynch, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, will be the new 007 agent. She's a black woman, and she'll be the first kind of woman and person of color being a 007 character. And it looks like that Daniel Craig is being set up to be the sort of mentor character to her. So it's a progressive thing. Some people are worried that they will turn her into a Bond girl or something like that, So what are your thoughts on this, guys?
Brin?
That was a worrying silence.
Yeah. This is one of those things where I feel like you really have to just wait for the film to come out to really comment on it. I mean, at best at this point, it looks like at best at this point it looks like they're clearly setting up to take it in a completely different direction. At worst, it's just for attention. And
it could be. James Bond seems like, obviously I appreciate progress in every single field, but James Bond seems like a weird battleground to sort of start this conversation. Obviously I don't mean that casting someone different in an iconic role is a bad thing. It's a brilliant thing, of course. I love the new female Doctor Who. I say new, she's been doing it for 2 years. But it's weird that the conversation is happening around this, if you know what I mean, because James Bond is such an antiquated thing.
Yeah. I think it's also that James Bond is making a female James Bond to me is like making a female Conan the Barbarian, where it's right, because it's such a male orientated power fantasy.
Yeah.
That going, this is the direction, we're going to make a female version of it. It's like, okay, but you're making a female male power fantasy.
Or like a female-led Fast and Furious, that kind of like.
Yeah, but I mean, like even then, if you were doing that, you could just like plug in Michelle Rodriguez, and no one would bat an eye.
Yeah,
so
I love these movies. By the way, I love the fact
yeah,
it got better canon and like consistency than TV. Care goes into those movies.
Yeah,
that was an old time. Am I getting controversial now?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I kind of passed by on them, so I can't really comment.
Yeah.
My feeling on the way that when it comes to something like this, I'm just like, well, I'll wait and see what they do with it. If they radically change the character, I'll just be saying, well, why did this have to be a James Bond film in the first place? If they go with creating the character in this vein of going, well, it's a female character in a male power fantasy, I'm just gonna be like, well, what's the point of that? Like, it's kind of like, going, oh, we've got Sex in the City, but with men, and you're like, why? Who wanted this? Like,
I will say, to be fair, I do know women who like the James Bond films, and one in particular was very. I mean, spoilers for Skyfall. I know it's been out a while, but one of my friends was very upset when the female M died and was replaced by Ray Fiennes, because she felt that was a step backwards in terms of the franchise's kind of progress into the future. So there is. It is fair to say that there is like an audience among women for James Bond as well.
Totally. I think also saying that is like going, well, it's like I didn't like that they completely did an homage to the way James Bond films used to be. It's like, well, these films were all prequels, so what were you expecting?
That's true. Yeah.
Like, not expecting that to me is I don't know. Like, I think it's like, I don't know, not paying attention or something. I don't want to be that condescending, but like, I'm going to be that condescending, I guess. I mean, I think it's a kind of like, I mean, we're like, look, diversity is always a really good thing. We got like if there wasn't for diversity in films, Morgan Freeman would never have played Red.
That's a really good example. Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for there's plenty of other examples of diversity being things being done in the for the sake, well, not even like for the sake of diversity, but just giving people the opportunity to prove they can shine.
Yeah.
Like, again, like Red is probably one of the best examples of it, because it was a star-making performance for Morgan Freeman. But I think there's a time and a place for it, and it has to be. Like,
and it has to be sincere as well.
Yeah, but I think as well, it's kind of like, it's kind of way like we had Pride recently, and almost everyone I know was like, this is just so blatantly pandering that it's kind of offensive that they think we're this stupid, And look, again, I'll wait until the film comes out to really stake an opinion on it. But at this point, my hesitation would be, is this going to be another case of pandering? Because, like, if things like this are done with good intentions, great. But if they're not, like, it's like when people wanted Donald Glover to play Peter Parker, and you're like, Donald Glover can play Miles. Like, what's wrong with Miles?
And now Miles has more fans because of the animated film. Yeah,
totally. But it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I should say Lashana Lynch, she was in Captain Marvel as the Monica Rambeau character.
Yes. Yeah,
I really liked her in that. I picked up the Blu-ray of it this week, and going back to it's like, oh yeah, I can kind of see her being a cool fighting character. I think if she's going to be a secret agent, she seems like a good pick for it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, like, look, again, I'm not saying, like, I don't think any of us are saying, oh, she's not going to be good enough to, like.
No,
that's absolutely, that's absolutely not it.
That's not like, look,
it's the optics of it more than anything else.
Yes, that's fair. That's
Like, I think. Yeah, it's the optics of it, and it's
because, like, I mean, would anyone here be upset if Idris Elba was playing the character? Would anyone be upset if?
That'd be awesome.
I think that makes way more sense.
But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, like, using him as an example, but like, I mean, if you could pick, like, even I can't think of his name, but the guy who played the lead in The guy who played the lead in I'm blanking on the name of it now. Damn it.
While you're thinking of it, then another point to bring up, just because we're talking about sort of, is this a story we're talking about? Is this sincere? All that. Daniel Craig did bring I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the writer of Fleabag to write extra jokes and give Bond 25 a slightly more feminist bent. By all accounts, I love her shows. I think she's great.
That show is amazing.
None of these things happen in isolation. That could be maybe the way they're trying to steer Bond 25 or something like that. Could be the kind of related to it.
Yeah, it was the actor from Get Out.
Yes, I know you're talking about.
Daniel.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
Daniel Kaluuya, who
would anyone
was
really
Darragh's favorite film, Black Panther.
Yeah.
No, my favorite film is Get Out.
Yeah, but like, again, those are just like two examples of black actors who could totally play James Bond, and yeah. But as you were saying, like they also have the writer for Fleabag in as well, which is good. I think like the 2 seasons that she did for Fleabag are excellent. And highly worth watching. Incredibly funny, in really unusual and unique ways. So
very modern. Like there's a great gag in one of her first episodes where someone comes into her cafe and she's like, "Oh, would you like a cup of tea?" And he's like, "No." And the first thing he does is he unplugs all the lamps to charge in all his devices.
Yeah, like
that's such a brilliant modern thing to have in a comedy show. Like,
yeah. And she's like just going, "Well, would you like anything?" "Oh no, I'm fine." And as he just continues to just plugs in like a plug board and everything, and like, he has like 4 or 5 appliances just coming out of this one outlet.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is her name.
Yeah. I think it's a good. I think she's a good person to have attached to it, at least just for like, especially if she's just into kind of sharpen up dialogue. Because like the dialogue in Fleabag is incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me see here now.
All right. By the way, I never got to ask: are you guys actually like James Bond fans, or like?
Funnily enough, I've watched James Bond my entire life, but I would never call myself a fan.
Kind of exactly the same, yeah.
Like I'll always watch them when they're on, but I wouldn't. I mean, like, look, I'll put it this way: I've watched every James Bond film. I've never even felt an inkling towards reading any of the books.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, like every film with Sean Connery is great. Every film that doesn't have Sean Connery in it is less great.
Well, I'll challenge the Timothy Dalton ones are actually quite good. They just kind of got up in between the sort of the two big eras of Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore.
Yeah, I don't like the Roger Moore movies by and large. The Pierce Brosnan ones are conflicting.
Yeah, they're very 90s. They kind of, there's good stuff in them, but you as the movies go on, you have to check your brain further and further and further back.
Yeah, the way I think my current ranking is like Connery, Craig. I think Dalton comes there then, and then I kind of, depending on the day, go between Moore and between Roger Moore and Brosnan, and then Lazenby's at the bottom because Lazenby's the worst, and will always be the worst. Only James Bond to cry.
But actually, relative to James Bond, there is a trailer for a Kingsman prequel out this week. That's kind of a parody series of James Bond. Are you fans of the Kingsman movies?
Love the first one.
Yeah.
Didn't love the second one.
Love the first one. Enjoyed the second one.
I'm actually going to be the controversial one for a change. I actually preferred the second one. I thought it had a bit more polish to it.
Totally fair. It was surprising. It was surprising.
Yeah, I would. I would say for me the first one, I just loved the villain character so much.
Oh yes,
That like I liked what they did in the second one. I just didn't think it was I didn't think it was as interesting a villain. But yeah, I mean, like, there's plenty of things to like in it. Except for Mark Strong dying, which should never happen in films ever, even if he's a bad guy.
Yeah, it's so weird. They went to all the trouble of killing off Colin Firth in the first one to bring him back to then kill Mark Strong. Like, are we just going to be like passing the parcel in Kingsman 3? Is he going to die and is Mark Strong going to come back? Or are we going to keep looping around?
No, it's going to be Iggsy who dies in the third one, and the two of them are alive. That's
you joke. Know. I bet that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I'm half joking. Like, it's almost certainly a strong bet.
Yeah.
It kind of should end that way, I think, as well, though. It'd be a bit like poetic,
especially now that there's like a Kingsman franchise. There'll be someone else to take over somewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and look, I think that franchise has quite a good future ahead of it anyway. So,
well, I mean, we were talking about the X-Men series on, I think, the first episode I was on, and that series torpedoed after Matthew Vaughn left.
Yeah,
I mean. You can argue about, like, is Kingsman 1 better, is Kingsman 2 better? He knows how to make a decent movie. Kick-Ass is a great movie. Like, he can make movies with beginnings, middle, and ends that get people excited. And there's, unfortunately, not a lot of directors who do that consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems that, like, directors tend to have, like, a similar kind of run to musicians, where what they produce when they needed to make money is very raw and very unpolished, but very promising and exciting. And then they get a bit of polish, but they lose a bit, and as they get more polished, they just lose more and more of what they have, and you end up and like by the time that they get to be established, they kind of just lose that. And like it's always nice when you see someone who's able to kind of keep whatever flair they had.
Exactly, and he promotes other movies. Like, he was a producer on Rocket Man, and like, obviously there's a connection there. Elton John was in Kingsman too. Like, he seems to promote other people's films as well, which is also rare, like in Hollywood.
Yeah, 100%. Like, but I think that's just because that environment has gotten so competitive.
Yeah, correct.
Because like it seems like the mindset in Hollywood is, if you're not making a Marvel film, you're not doing anything.
You're not working.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And like that, I think that's why there's so many like Hollywood insiders who are going, God, why are there so many Marvel films?
Well, I mean, that was that whole like rush of cinematic universes that went very quickly. Weirdly enough, apart from the Conjuring universe, that's kind of held in there.
Yeah, it's like, but it's always the sleeper ones that have kind of retained, like the Fast and the Furious and the Conjuring are kind of.
Oh, actually, yeah, Fast and Furious. That you could call that a universe as well. That's fair.
But it is officially a universe now because it has spin-offs now and everything. So
yeah. Like if Riddick gets another 2 films, I'd call that a universe.
I don't know. I'm probably going to see the Fast and the Furious movie, even though I didn't like the earlier ones. But ever since the 5th one, where it just becomes a superhero movie, I'm like, all right. All right, guys. I think we're almost at time.
We're nearly at the time, so I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit. But we should probably get to our own personal news to talk about for the remainder of the show. So there has been a bit of talk about it on the Book of Faces, of many, many faces. So Darragh, do you want to talk to us a bit more about that news that you broke?
Yeah, so I found out during the week that we're going to have our own panel at Dublin City Comic Con this year.
Oh my god!
What?
Which is wild, guys. It's crazy. Yeah. So, and not only that, but the timetable came out as well, like way quicker than I thought it was. So, yeah, officially we are on the Sunday at 3:00 in room 1, I believe. So
the Thunderdome.
Wow. Double checking. Yeah. So it's gonna be pretty cool. So Brin, explain what the topic actually is, because I've had a couple of people try to reach out and ask, but I wanted to.
What is this thing? Okay, cool. So, I mean, the title of it is literally everything is wrestling. The general idea for this is Cian, as someone who doesn't know anything about wrestling, is going to be going, okay, I have a bunch of things I'm going to challenge you with to see how if you can actually bring them around to being about wrestling. And this can be like broad stroke topics. It can be super granular. Doesn't really matter.
So is Harry Potter like wrestling?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
yes.
God. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even. That's not even hard. That's not even hard.
Yeah. It's basically a 7-year feud that was building. A la Daniel Bryan and The Miz, and that's basically the way. But I mean, but you can pick it on anything. However.
We only have one rule.
Yeah.
The only thing you're not allowed to ask is wrestling.
Because wrestling isn't wrestling.
Wrestling isn't wrestling. Yeah, that's the only thing that isn't wrestling. But yeah, right. So that's basically the conceit of it. It's at 3:00 on the Sunday in Panel Room 1.
Yeah.
So and all the details are at www.DublinCityComicCon.
If you have suggestions as well.
Yeah. And will it be an interactive event, guys, or
yes, absolutely. Exactly. We're planning on devoting a portion of the show so that the audience that's live there can ask, can I go, how about this as a topic? Is this how is this like wrestling? Yeah. And also, people, I would suggest that you at Cian if you're not going to be there and go, hey, challenge them with this as a topic for is it wrestling? Because we want you as battle ready as possible, so that
I see.
So we can show you how much is like wrestling.
So how people can do that is they can at Nerd to Know Media on Twitter, or they can email nerdtoknowmedia@gmail.com and get their suggestions in. I think that's the best way to do it.
100%.
Yeah, so that's kind of the big plug we have, the big news. So we're looking forward to it. That is August the 11th.
Yes.
I believe. So yeah, pick up your tickets. Tickets are on sale. We'll be there anyway, covering the event, but it is pretty cool to have a panel and hopefully the first of many, guys. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Hopefully we can make a return engagement at each of these.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited for this. I've been going to Comic-Con for years. It's surreal to be like in it now.
Yeah, it's strange. Maybe we'll do the Harry Potter one next year.
Yeah. I'll just mediate because I am not taking a dog in that fight.
Yeah, I don't know.
The victim was found with 31 stabbed into it.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
He was Expelliarmus until he was covered in enough fluid to drown him.
The forbidden spells, the forbidden curses.
I don't know. I'll walk in with a shirt saying Harry Potter's terrible or something.
It better be a bulletproof shirt.
Roman Reigns vest.
Just totally heal it up, a la John Cena from 2000.
Yeah.
One Night Stand. You see, everything comes back to wrestling, Kane.
Everything comes back to wrestling.
Everything.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, that's going to do it for this week's show. So, if you want to reach us, go over to nerdtoknowmedia.com and you can find all the links there as well. Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, all that good stuff as well. So, that's going to do it, guys. So, for my two co-hosts, we'll talk to you next week here on Nerd to Know Basis.
See you next week.